Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tia here. If you are new, please like and subscribe. But for today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys about my experience working at JCPenney. So first off, when I walked in there, I hadn't been in the store in years. So I parked at the upstairs entrance, and as soon as I walk in, there's this black lady, and like I asked her, I'm like, "Oh, I have an interview. Like, can you show me where to go?" And she just gave me like the dirtiest look ever. Like she was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Bro, like are is this what I'm gonna have to deal with? Because if not, I can walk out right now." So I was low-key tempted to just leave after she gave me like that attitude or whatever. So basically I chased her all the way downstairs. She handed me off to this white man, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this girl's here for an interview, blah blah blah." And then he was like, "Okay, well, it might take a while because I'm busy right now." And like he had an attitude, and I'm like thinking like, damn, what is going on at this store, you know? So then he ended up taking me to the back in the break room, and I had to wait like maybe 5 minutes before he actually like started the interview. And then the interview was kind of awkward because he wasn't really making eye contact with me and all that stuff. Vibe was off, but he was asking me like the basic questions like, why do I want to work there? How long have I been working in retail? Blah blah blah. So I told him I've been working in retail for maybe like 7 years now. And he was like, "Okay, so we can start you above minimum wage." And I was like, "Okay, great." Um, and then after that, he was like, "Okay, so come back tomorrow for like the training videos and stuff." So coming the next day, do the training videos. They were super boring. I'm just sitting in the back for maybe like, was it like 4 hours? I don't even know. But I was not paying attention at all. And then at the end of that, he gave me his information, and he gave me his phone number, his cell phone number. And he was like, "Oh, just call me, text me if you have trouble logging in to like see your schedule or anything, blah, blah, blah. Do you want like a tour or anything?" And I was like, "Yeah." And for me, I low-key don't know why I said yes, because I never say yes when they ask if I have any extra questions or anything like that. And then he was like surprised. He was like, "Oh, oh, now I gotta do a tour." So then we basically went around the whole store, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know why, but it's like I felt like extra talkative for some reason. Like I was actually like asking questions, paying attention, blah, blah, blah. And he was like rambling off to me. So I couldn't tell if he was just nervous or maybe he's one of those people that goes into depth explaining things or whatever. So he's giving me the tour. He's telling me like I can work in the jewelry section, I can work in the beauty section, I can like move around, I can work in all the different areas, blah blah blah. And in my mind, I'm like, bro, I just applied to be a regular cashier. I ain't trying to be a jewelry salesperson. Okay. So then after that, he's like, "Yeah, so when you come back, we're gonna like start the training, blah blah blah." And I don't know, like the vibe was weird. Okay. So I guess he was just a weirdo. But anyways, I come back, and my first day on the job, right? Like, they teach you how to like clock in, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking like, oh, are they just gonna like throw me on the register to get some experience and learn how to do it, obviously. And then so he was like, "Okay, so we're gonna put you in customer service." And I was like, "Bitch, what the fuck?" I was like surprised because one, I didn't apply to be no fucking customer service. Two, when I used to come to JCPenney with my mom like 10 years ago or whatever, we would have to come here and wait in that long ass return line for customer service. And I would always used to say when I was little, "Oh, I hope I don't want to work here one day. I would never work in customer service, blah blah blah." And then he got me in fucking customer service. So that's another time where I was about to walk right out the door. So I was telling him, I'm like, "Bro, I don't want to be in customer service, blah, blah, blah." And he was like, "Yeah, but the other lady who's in charge of making the schedule, she just suggested to put you here." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So first day in customer service, there was like, I think it's pretty much all women who work there actually. So the first day in customer service, there was these older women. They were like training me, showing me how to do returns and stuff like that. But the thing is, it was so confusing because I'm like, how do I do a return if I don't know how to operate a regular register? I can't do a normal transaction, but y'all are here forcing me to do returns. And then the customers were like looking at me weird. And obviously, like, it's my first day. And it's funny too, because people always think like I obviously look young, right? So they think this is probably like my first job or something. So they're like, oh, don't worry, you'll get used to it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, bro, shut the hell up, bro. Um, and then I don't know, it was interesting because the lady, she was doing a good job explaining to me. So she was saying that I would probably be good at it over time, but I am a little bit like soft spoken or whatever. So she was like, yeah, you just got to get used to it and like be firm and aggressive with the customers, blah blah blah. And I was like, bro, I don't care what you say. I already know I'm gonna be good at everything I do. Like I appreciate the reassurance, but I'm not trying to work in customer service, right? So then I texted that white man, the manager, and I texted him. I was like, bro, I'm literally going to kill myself if I have to work here again. And like, I don't know, I only text like that when I know the person is like young enough to handle it. I obviously wouldn't have texted him that if he was like super old, but then he was like, oh, whoa, now don't do that. We can't have you doing that. And then he was like, yeah, I'll just talk to the hiring lady and I'll get her to like put you on an actual register and take you out of there. And I'm like, yes, thank God, bro. So that was the only day I worked in customer service. And then they put me on the register, which was downstairs in the lingerie section in like the home area, whatever. So I was training with this other lady. I saw her as like a big sister, kind of. And then basically, like JCPenney, their number one thing is pushing the credit cards. And it's like a lot of unnecessary work, I feel like. Like they focus on the credit cards more than they focus on the actual customers and employees. So they were like, oh, you got to make sure you're asking everybody, blah, blah, blah. Just talk them into it, like butter them up. And I'm like, bro, I'm not forcing nobody to get a credit card. Like I have morals. If these people, if I see them like standing there with like a crying baby, or I see them like they're talking about getting like a house or they got bills to pay, I'm not bringing up no damn credit card. Like I'll probably ask them, but I'm not going to repeatedly like push it to them, you know? Because I hate places that do that to me, right? But that's like their number one thing. So the lady who I trained with, she was nice. She was telling me like she doesn't give a fuck about the credit cards. I'm not gonna get fired if I don't get any, blah blah blah. So then I'm training on the register downstairs. I learned everything downstairs, and then they moved me upstairs and I would learn everything upstairs on the register, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty easy register to learn. It's like common sense. But the thing is, nobody really trains you, I feel like. Like, obviously, like every job, they expect the coworkers to train you. Like, the managers don't really train you or anything. So I would occasionally text the white man and be like, oh, you know, like they moved me upstairs now. Like, what is this? And he was like, oh, yeah, you know, sometimes we move people around, blah, blah, blah. I got like a survey, I guess. Like, I got like a 10 out of 10 survey. So he texted me and he was like, oh, you know, congrats on your survey, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, by the way, we don't have to just talk about work. We can talk about like other stuff too, if you're comfortable with that. And I was like, okay, cool. So I ended up being friends with the manager and he would basically like, you know, help me out with like work stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, I guess I wasn't getting enough credit cards. So they moved me to this thing called recovery. And that's pretty much where you like clean out the fitting rooms and you're basically like the backup person. You cover people when they go on breaks, you put back the clothes, blah, blah, blah. You just go where they need you basically. And then when they moved me there, I was kind of like mad at first because I'm like, bro, I applied to be on the register. Like I want to stand there and do nothing like all these other old people. I'm not trying to be running back and forth every day. But then after I started doing recovery, I actually liked recovery more because I didn't have to worry about being on the register all the time. I don't have to worry about getting credit cards all the time. And I'm free to like move around. I don't have to like call somebody to go on like a bathroom break or anything. I could just go to the bathroom whenever I wanted to. I could walk around downstairs, see my friends downstairs all around, blah, blah, blah. So I actually ended up liking recovery more than being on the register. And then it came to the point where like I'm actually like talking to people, getting to know people. So it seemed like the people there are kind of friendly. I did like how, I guess it's probably just my store, but I like how it was mostly Black women. Like I did feel comfortable enough to like talk to them, get to know them, blah, blah, blah. And then after working there for a while, you see how these people operate. You see how they like force the customers to get the credit cards, and it's like it's kind of weird, right? You see how like weird the customers are, blah blah blah. All these like old people, they keep like giving me like good reviews and they're like talking to me and I'm like, I don't know, it's funny because I can't tell if my like I guess my customer service is good, but I just be pretending, bro. I be pretending every day of life. But anyways, it gets to the point where it is like I don't know. What time is it? It's like Christmas time, right? And obviously, like everybody knows in retail, they give you like a lot of hours and all that. And next thing I know, I'm working like 10 hours, 12 hours during like, Black Friday and stuff. And Black Friday was probably one of the worst days I worked because obviously like the boss, he was concerned about getting the credit cards because that's all he gives a fuck about. He don't care about us if he run us into the ground. All he cares about is the credit cards to make him look good, right? So it was like Black Friday, I came in. I actually looked presentable because I'm like I'm gonna be here all day. I might as well look good while I do it. And I was the only backup person at the time because they failed to hire enough people for the holiday season. So I was pretty much doing like more work than anybody. And since I am the backup person, I'm here running back and forth from the men's section to the women's section, being backup for everybody. And then it's like the line is all the way around the store. But my goal is basically just to get the customers in and out as fast as possible. And whoever is on the register that's with me or whatever over there, they can get the credit cards. Okay, that's not my concern, okay? Because if I'm here and we're both signing up credit cards at the same time, the line will be around the damn store. Okay, so I was not necessarily like asking every single person, but I don't even know if I probably got like 2 credit cards that day, while like other people got like 10 or whatever. Um, and then the thing about the boss is that he comes on the walkie-talkie and he'll be like, "We need to get more credit cards from the customers. We got 50,000 customers in the store. We need more credit cards." And like the walkies are turned all the way up, and like the customers are listening. They're like, "What in the actual fuck?" Like he be running these employees into the ground. So I've had like so many customer complaints simply about the boss like using the walkie-talkie. And then like even when I ask people after that, I'm like, "Oh, did you want to sign up for one?" And they're like, "Oh no, sorry, I can't help you meet your goal." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't even care about the goal, bro. Like I just gotta ask." Um, and then what's it called? So I would actually be bonding over with the customers over the damn credit cards. But yeah, Black Friday, I was strung out, bro. I was exhausted. And then at the end of the day, you think people would be like, "Oh, thanks for helping, blah blah blah. Like without you, we would have been struggling." Whole time they were just like, "Oh, you should have got more credit cards." And I was like, "Bro, what the fuck? Like you lucky I fucking came in." I think I only had one lady who was a manager. She said thank you and she gave me a hug, and I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate that," because I feel like she saw me running back and forth a lot because I would be over here. That would be the funniest thing too, because I would be at one register checking out a customer. I would go over to the men's section. They'd be like, "Oh, I just saw you over there." I'm like, "Yes." They got me working like a fucking slave. Um, but yeah, so that was a lot of running back and forth. And then Christmas time, basically like the same thing pretty much. And then the only thing I like working about in retail is like you do get to wear different outfits all the time. You're not wearing like a uniform or anything, so it's pretty chill dress code as long as you're not half naked, obviously. um what else? And then when it comes to Christmas time, I wanted to work in the beauty section because I had friends in there, and I was like, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if I could work around makeup? I could be working with my friends in the beauty section. We could just talk all day," because that's all I saw them doing is just sitting at the table talking, and they seemed to have like a chill manager in there because the beauty manager was separate from the actual like the store manager or whatever. So I would work in there, and then I would talk to them all day. It was like a pretty easy shift. I wouldn't have to do any work. I didn't even have to watch any training videos or anything. And that was pretty funny to me too, because it's like I know about makeup obviously because I can do makeup on myself, but like I didn't know about those products because if you didn't know, JCPenney actually got different beauty products than Sephora and Ulta and shit. And I'm like, I'm not using any of that stuff. So when a customer would come in and ask me for something, I'm like, "I don't know, bro. Go to Sephora. I don't fucking know." But yeah, so pretty much I was in there for like some of December, like a couple days. And next thing you know, they were scheduling me in there from like January to March, pretty much. Yeah, so and the dress code for beauty is that they have to wear all black because they're trying to be like Sephora. So I was pissed off because I can't wear my colorful outfits anymore. And I'm thinking like, why is she putting me in beauty when I didn't fucking apply to be in here? You know, so that's one thing I didn't like, how they would just change me around when I didn't even ask to be changed around. Um, so I don't know, because I was mainly trying to help them out. Like if they needed people occasionally or like I would cover their breaks. I did not ask to be placed in there like full time, right? But the thing is they had one of their manager left apparently, and I think she was complaining because I think she put in for her 2 weeks ahead of time, and she was telling all the managers they need to like watch the training videos on beauty so that they know how to do it, blah blah blah. They need to hire more people for beauty, but I guess hiring managers just didn't hire anybody, right? So next thing I know, I'm stuck in beauty with this one Asian lady and then this other black girl. So I'm friends with like all of them, right? So we were talking, blah blah blah, and then I would be complaining every day because I didn't want to be in there because beauty. I think beauty makes like more than like a regular cashier because technically for beauty you're supposed to be like, I don't know. I thought they had to be like certified or whatever, but apparently you don't. But they make more money. So I'm thinking like, where is my money? Because I'm still getting paid the same as I was out there. And I think it was only like a 5 cent difference, wasn't it? I don't know, something like that, like 10 cent. I don't know what it was, but I was getting paid less, and I was putting beauty against my will. We're basically chilling for like the month of January. It's pretty easy, no customers. I'm basically just standing there on my phone doing nothing. I'm sitting at the table doing nothing. I'm talking to my friend doing nothing, you know. So it's like I was getting paid for doing nothing. That was like the only good part of it. But like I said, I just hate wearing black. I'm not one of those people. And then February comes around and they finally like hire a new manager, and the new manager was terrible. She's probably like one of the worst managers I've ever had in my life. And it was kind of weird because she came across as a nice person, but then I realized she was just being fake, you know? She's one of those, obviously, because she's like a salesperson. So me and my friend, like, we would always like talk about her after she left or whatever. We'd be like, oh yeah, she's a bitch. She don't know what the fuck she's doing, blah, blah, blah. And then she got into it with my friend, and then my friend quit, you know. So that day my friend texted me and she was like, oh, I just quit the job, lol. I was cussing at the boss and our beauty manager, and I was like, dang, what the hell? So then the beauty manager texts me. She's like, oh, can you come in and cover this girl's shift? And I was like, I guess. So then I come in, I ask her what happened, and she was like, what do you mean what happened? And I'm like, bitch, you just got cussed out by my friend the other day. You're not gonna tell me what happened? And she's like, yeah, I can't discuss it due to like certain reasons. And I'm like, bro, I already know what happened, bro. I just want to hear your side of it. But anyways, so then it was just me and the Asian lady and the manager. And it was like, it wasn't even decent hours either. It was because it's like only part-time. So I was only getting like 17 hours a week, I think. And it's like the dead season of retail. So I wasn't really like expecting a lot of hours anyways. So then next thing I know, the manager, she starts like, she's just doing a terrible job. She's not reading the planograms of like where to put things on the shelves. She's like throwing out the wrong products. She doesn't want to do her own work. She's making us do it. And like, she just doesn't know how to do anything. And I'm like, why am I here explaining things to you when you have like 20 years of experience with makeup and stuff like that? You know, that just doesn't make sense to me. And then like working with her became irritable, and I feel like she probably thought I was on her side the whole time because I just come across as a nice person. And but no, the whole time me and the Asian lady were like talking shit about her, and we were like, yes, like I don't get how she's a manager. I don't know where I don't know, because the Asian lady was saying that she lied about her experience, and I'm like, I don't think she lied. I just feel like she's just not a good manager, you know. um so then we put up with that for like I think like a month or so. I don't know. And then her and the Asian lady got into it, blah blah blah. They were arguing all the time, and it just became the thing of like we were all talking about each other behind each other's backs or whatever. So that was really irritable. So being in there was like being in hell, right? And then you remember the manager that I told y'all about in the beginning. I was on bad terms with him at this point. So then I would ask the hiring lady, I'd be like, oh, like, can you move me somewhere else? Like, can you put me somewhere else? I'm not trying to be in beauty with that stupid manager, blah blah blah. And then she was like, oh, you can work on the white man's, like, his sales team, and like do that stuff, because that white man, like the manager, he was in charge of like changing the sales signs or whatever, so he had his own little like team of people and stuff. So she's like, oh, you can be on his team. And I looked at her, I'm like, why the fuck would I be on that man's team after all the shit that he's done? But anyways, I also didn't like how they did the schedules there, because they were printing these things out. I also don't know why I still have this from November, but it has everybody's names on it from work. But yeah, they would basically print out these schedules and put them like in the break room, and you're supposed to like pick up the schedule or whatever. But the thing is, later in the year, they made like an app to where like the schedule is on the app, so that way you can like see who's working with you that day, blah blah blah. And I don't know, it was like I didn't like how the schedule was constantly changing. Like if I get a schedule, it should not change like for 2 weeks. You put the schedule out, it should stay the same for 2 weeks. Because imagine I got a schedule like a doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, whatever, and next thing you know, my schedule is changing 2 days before. Then it messes up my schedule, my plans. I felt like obviously like in the beginning it was good because like all the coworkers got along, and we went out to like group outings and like dinner type stuff, blah blah blah. But after that, it just became like a toxic place. And then next thing you know, I'm going to like HR, and shit went down. But overall, I feel like it's a decent place to work if you want to like just start working in customer service or retail in general. I feel like that's like an easy like beginner type job. Like if you're like still in high school or maybe like early college or something, I would say like working in the mall is probably the easiest job you can get, instead of working at like, a Kroger or like a Walgreens or whatever. A mall is probably like the easiest place to get some experience. But anyways, other than that, it was good until it wasn't. But I'm gonna have to do another video on that. But yeah, that was it for this story time. Stay tuned for more. Peace.